Mr Deputy President, one of the most bitterly fought debates over the course of this government has been the introduction of the draconian changes to workers' compensation in 2012. And rightly so. This is a system that, instead of rehabilitating workers and supporting them to get back to work, is forcing them into poverty. Every union official that I speak to has another story of a worker injured at work or on their journey to work, and the pernicious effects their cuts to the workers' compensation scheme has had on them and their families. Indeed, on my visit to Food Bank earlier this year, the largest provider of food relief in the country, I heard a story of a family who were donors to Food Bank, but after an injury at work, the family was forced to seek food relief themselves. This is clearly a system that is not working. Consider this. A retail worker with 2 children who was injured in 1926 when the first workers' compensation legislation was introduced was proportionally in a better financial position than the same retail worker injured today in New South Wales. But what should we expect? The nastiness of this government knows no bounds. They sought to push workers off the workers' compensation scheme and onto unemployment benefits at Christmas time, nonetheless. But when these changes were introduced in 2012, they were under the false premise that the scheme was in significant debt. This is plainly incorrect. This was based on 100% of the claimants making 100% maximum claim in the immediate weeks. While the scheme suffered a temporary poorer financial position, as many investors did as a result of the global financial crisis, the Australia Institute recently found the supposedly dire deficit which justified the cutbacks disappeared entirely within a year, and by mid-2013 the fund was already back in surplus. The system's total surplus now exceeds $4 billion. I congratulate Unions New South Wales and the many trade unions that commissioned this excellent report. Its key finding was this: over 5 years, the original scheme could be restored without going into deficit that would also maintain the appropriate risk cushion. It's time for a more humane approach for our injured workers here in New South Wales.